Is an incredible selection. It doesn't make
Call to order is 8 minutes past 7 on the clock. First item of business is introduction of a new associate member, Mr. Robert H. Poole. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you.
And I know you're going to serve well.
Always nice to be optimistic. isn't
Otherwise, we'll make you. Pretty good boy.
This is Phil Cressy. You know Tom,
it?
you know me,
Yeah.
you know Nat.
Yeah.
It's at least.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, the minutes of July 18th. Probably the minutes of July 18th.
I have not. And you?
Nope.
Okay, go to a motion to accept the minutes, please.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Lisa has a financial report here. Just to let you know where we are. We have $7,800 in our revolving fund. $5,000 in consultants revolving account. $1,372 in our expense account. And $7,121 in our payroll account. Total $21,604. Petty cash of $88.40. And that consultants revolving fund at $5,000 is what we got from Marion Way.
Yeah.
All right. That's his money, actually. Okay. All right, and the other thing is, Lisa was so energetic in buying stuff and so forth, we got a discount on, we bought a new telephone, because the other one was,
You mean,
she
you mean,
could,
she needs one where she can
she
actually
could
hear?
get message, she could get a message, she could get messages through from it. And, so she bought a new phone, and because of that, Staples gave us a $15 Starbucks card. And we found out through the town that the accounting department, that we can't use it. So, I have a letter here dated September 20th, which is today, tomorrow, to the selectmen. To the selectmen.
Okay.
Regarding the gift card donation, dear Mr. Chairman, sent to Robert Snow, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, at the September 19th, 2013 meeting of the zoning board of appeals, members unanimously approved a motion made by member Phil Cressy. Will make this motion? And seconded by Tom Iger, for the second this time.
Sure you
To donate a $15 Starbucks card gift certificate to the Friends of the Raleigh Council meeting. A gift certificate was given to the zoning board of appeals when Staples was purchasing office supplies. So you make that motion, Phil?
Yes, gladly.
Bob, so moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That saves her having to retype the letter.
Yes. Thank you.
The card is in here, right?
Yes, it's in the envelope, so.
Yeah, that's awfully nice of Staples to give a card from somebody else, but hey,
I know that's true.
Should we add an addendum about liability that we're not responsible for anybody in council, you have a caffeine overdose or anything?
We hope that'll give them some extra.
I don't drink coffee and I hear some people really enjoy it a lot.
I know, huh? I
So
don't
they
know.
say that-
Yeah, we thought,
Drink to
you know,
people
we
wait.
could use the card to, you know, have coffee here for, during the meeting or something like that, but we can't do it.
Yeah.
It has to be used for the public. So that's what we did. It is 7:15, and we have a public hearing. Artistic Landscape LLC, case number 14-01. Oh boy, new fiscal year. And I have a procedure here that I have to go through, so bear with us for a few minutes. I'm not gonna go through all of the preliminary stuff because we don't have anybody here other than the applicant.
We do have no audience, so.
Okay. Case number 1401 from Artistic Landscape, Anthony Gurley, for variance and special permit at 111 Newburyport Turnpike. Is now open. Does any member of the board have any conflict of interest on this case?
No.
No.
nope,
No. Well, before I go any further, I'm going to appoint Bob Poole to be the acting member on this case. Place of Dave Beck.
oh,
Okay, public hearing for this application was posted at Town Hall, sent to the certified list of parties of interest, and was published in the Town Common on September 11th, 2013, and September 18th, 2013, and reads as follows. A public hearing will be held at the Town Hall Annex 39 Central Street on Thursday, September 19th, 2013, at 7:15 p.m. to act on an application received 8/26/13 from Artistic Landscape LLC, care of Anthony Gurley, 1 Sawmill Way, Georgetown, Mass. Applicant is requesting that the Board of Appeals a variance and special permit for groundwater recharge, parking within 50 feet setback, and for storage bins within the side and rear setbacks from the requirements of section 6.1.3.2.4B and 4.7.2F and 4.1 and 4.11.3.2C of the Raleigh Protective Zoning bylaws. Property is located at 111 Newburyport Turnpike, Raleigh, Mass. Property is in the Business Light Industrial District and is shown on Assessors Map 14, Lot 17. Interested parties are invited to attend the hearing and be heard on matters relevant to the application. Copies of the application are on file with the Board of Appeals and may be reviewed in the ZBA office during posted business hours. The purpose of this hearing is for the Board to hear and consider the pertinent facts related to the application and to approve the conditions or deny before hearing from the public. The applicant will be allowed to present their case, and the board members will be allowed to ask questions and comments. The applicant now has the floor. So let's hear what you want to do, and we'll go from there.
evening. My name is William Holt. I'm the designer of the project.
What's your last name?
Holt, H-O-L-T. And the designer of the project, working for Mr. Hurley, who is the owner of the property and the owner of Artistic Landscapes. Mr. Hurley purchased the property back in November. He'd like to locate his business, Artistic Landscapes, which is a landscape design business, at the property. It's 111 Newburyport Turnpike. It's on the easterly side of Route 1. Currently, there's an existing house, single-family house, number 111, with a driveway, septic, small yard located in the property. The remainder of the property is wooded site. We're showing the setbacks on the existing conditions plan. 50-foot setback is the business light industry zone. The current building is non-conforming. It's only a foot off the property to the front and 32 feet to the rear. Mr. Hurley would like to raise this building, remove the building, obviously we'll use the existing access to access the property and construct a new business building, 4,500 square feet of storage and warehouse, and 2,000 square feet of office space, for a total of 6,500 square foot building. Now, as you can see, the lot is triangular in shape. It's approximately 1 acre in total area, 46,800 square feet. With the setback requirements to place the building on the property, we have to place it to the southerly side of the property in order for it to conform to zoning. As we have the building placed, it does conform to all the setback requirements for the building itself. We're using the existing entrance as the new entrance. We're going to widen it, flatten it out a little more, and pave it. We're going to have a second, that's going to be entrance only. We're going to have a second curb cut, which we've already applied to Mass Highway 4, and it's pending. It's within a week or so of being issued to construct a second exit location, approximately 100 feet away from the first one. So there'll be an entrance in and an exit out only, and there'll be signage to indicate that at the site. So they'll drive in, come to the parking area, which is located in this area. We have 10 spots, 10 parking stalls. Access around the building and to the side of the building, which is required for fire protection. So we're proposing driveway, back and side, and entrance and exit. The utilities, we're going to use existing utilities on the site. There's water and electric pole located here, which will service will come off this pole right to the building. The water is actually this location. We're going to bring it over to the building. We've designed drainage to mitigate any impact from the impervious area in the building. So that's being reviewed by the planning board at this point through the site plan review business application. We're also going to conservation because this is a zone 2 and the watershed protection district, which is under the conservation jurisdiction as well as the stormwater management permit. So all the technical issues with the stormwater management, the grading, the site, the landscaping, the lighting are being addressed through the planning board and with conservation. We've had 2 meetings with the planning board and 1 meeting with the conservation already. Had some feedback and have some items we're addressing with both those boards. What we're here for you tonight for is for variances for parking due to the shape of the lot and the location where we had to put the building, requirement to have access around the building, and requirement for drainage to mitigate the impacts of developing the lot. We have 6 parking locations that are going to be within the 50-foot setback, which requires a variance. Again, that's primarily due to the requirement for 10 parking locations and the fact that we have this triangular shaped lot that we have to put the building to the right and access to the left, and then handle the drainage and other issues that we need to accommodate for. we have one variance for 6 parking spots. We are using pervious pavers. There will still be a vegetated buffer along the front. Will be maintained. And this parking location, actually, the grading here is 4 feet lower than the road, so actually probably will be looking over the cars. You won't actually see the cars parked in the front there.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask a question.
Sure.
You're asking for variance for the parking because it's not 50 feet from the street. Okay. Why do you have to put them there?
There's really no other place to put them, to access the building. In order to drive in and access to the back of the building, you can't park along the back side here. You know, you have 2 garage doors to come into the building, and the garage door going out, to be able to access the building with commercial vehicles.
I can answer that as well. When I met with the fire chief, he was looking at the plans and he wants to make sure a truck can drive behind the building. So that's why we can't put anything near the building, you know, in that behind the building area. And that's when we get to the bins, that's why the bins are being proposed to be against the far property line so that he can get trucks by if he needs to.
So that's the other request for the setback variance is for the 5 storage bins that we have located in the back right-hand corner of the property. We put them back as far as we could to shield them. There'll be a fence around the building.
What are the bins?
There are storage bins for landscape materials,
Crushed
Probably
stone.
for mulch. That kind of stuff.
Yes, mulch.
Stone, yeah, that kind of, yeah.
They're not actually a bin there. They're
Just a
open.
wall.
yeah, open.
Cement blocks.
And those are located right against the property line in the back corner here. To get room to be able to drive around the building. And as part of the watershed protection district zoning, there's a 15% impervious limitation. And we have, with our paved aprons here, entrance-wise, from the entrance, and we have the actual roof area. Total area is 8,840 square feet of impervious area, which comes out to be 18%, 17.8, round up to 18% impervious, which is 3% over the, we allowed 15%, which is, you know, typically a commercial site will have a greater percentage of impervious area due to parking and building requirements as compared to a residential use. We did use gravel. We're using gravel parking for the most part. We're only paving the entrance to get a transition up Route 1 for plowing and to just have a bit of transition off Route 1. We wanted to limit the amount of impervious area we did create so that we have less around to deal with. So we use gravel as a base as opposed to paving the whole parking lot. We are able to mitigate the runoff and recharge as required to the watershed protection district and the stormwater management regulations, as well as the state requirements for commercial sites. So we're mitigating the increase in impervious area by recharging the groundwater through infiltration. We have an infiltration trench that comes off the building to the rear. We also have an infiltration trench chamber system in the ground, as well as a above ground retention pond for the larger storms. When it rains, the larger storms will have a retention area that will fill up and then discharge off the property to the rear where it flows now. It flows off this direction now. And that's being reviewed by the planning board and by conservation for conformance with the regulations. So we have the impervious area of 18% proposed versus the 15% allowed in the watershed protection district.
Where is your septic system?
The septic system is located right in here. We put it as far away from the zone 2 as we could. and still conform to the requirements of Title V and local Board of Health. So we perked it back in October, and we have good soil results that are on the plan. We also did an additional test in this area here for the actual infiltration of the groundwater recharge system to make sure that we're above the water table and we have good soil in that area. It was all sand and gravel, and we had a 8-foot water table, almost 8-foot water table in this area. We have a 10-foot water table in this area, 8-foot there. It's good sandy material, good drainage. The other variance we're requesting is for the sign on the
On the
building.
building.
We have information, provided information on the sign.
I think it's,
The sign is 30 square feet,
right,
and
because.
the allowable is, I believe, 10.
10. So using the town bylaws where the total length is not to exceed 15 linear feet, Artistic Landscapes is just a long name. So we kept it under the 15 feet, but to make it legible from Route 1, there are 24-inch letters. So we're at 30 square feet on the building. And the way the rules are is if I had 3 tenants, 3 different companies, I could have 30 square feet, no problem. Each tenant can have 10 square feet. But with only one, that's why we need a variance, or we're asking for a variance. So we're within the length, we're making sure we can keep it below the total length, so we don't need a variance on that, just
Is this gonna be on the building?
on the building itself. The,
Whereabouts is it gonna be located? Did you know?
it's on this front left side,
We
it's,
have a front,
yes.
we have an image here. These are,
I just saw the picture of the sign.
there's a front entrance. And we also have a picture of a standalone sign.
That's,
What is that?
that's out here by Route 1, that's conforming on all fronts. And so, that would be a freestanding sign near Route 1.
It's actually shown on the plan, it's right in front of the basement, between the entrance and the exit.
And what's the height of the building? I'm trying to read.
29.
29?
It's a single slope roof to the back.
Is the existing drive, is the new entrance essentially where the existing drive is?
Yes. There's a stake right now that shows the center of the new entrance and the center of the proposed exit. So if you're driving down Route 1, you'll see the 2 stakes. And it is basically dead center of the existing
The
driveway.
existing drive, yeah.
Can you locate for me physically in the, so I know it's 111, but 111 isn't making any sense to me. So what are the businesses in near it?
Swenson's Granite is my neighbor to the left.
Who?
Swenson's Granite,
Swenson's Grand.
right, there's a strip of land between, yes.
Okay,
The piece of land in question is Cope's house.
okay, that's what I was
Gray
wondering.
house, almost right on top of
Yeah.
the road.
Right, and you go off the road and you go
Yeah,
down.
you certainly did.
And we're gonna be
certainly
regrading
do.
that to flatten that out, so it's
Yeah.
not as steep, actually.
Yeah,
And wider, we're gonna make it, actually, we're gonna make it 20 feet wide. Mass Highway, we show 18 on this, and Mass Highway actually
yeah, I
has us
figured it
20.
might be.
And it's right across the street from the ice cream stand that's right here, I believe. The new ice cream stand that's been put in.
Yes, right.
It's like right here, this
Right.
is their entrance right here. And we actually lined our entrance and our exit up with the 2, which is desirable for multiple reasons. Just so that they're opposite each other, so that there's no conflict of, different turn occurring between other ones, so. Larry Graham, who reviewed it for the planning board, liked that scenario as well as the Mass Highway. Preferred to have an entrance in and an exit out because of the slopes and the Route 1, busy, Route 1, so it makes sense to have it that way. Also makes it easier for, you have some trucks that will deliver some materials that, can come in and back in, or come in and pull in and then back in to the locations they need to be.
Talk to us a little bit about, the town has some experience with what may be a similar kind of company in a facility that had a much broader access to the facility. And there were a lot of questions about the nature of that business and its impact on the immediate neighborhood, which was more residential than where this is going to be located. This is clearly much more commercial. But I'd like to learn a little bit more about, the nature of deliveries, the nature of the spaces and why we have the spaces. How many people work for you? How many people are going to be in and out of the site every day? What kind of traffic, do you anticipate will be normal? And then presumably as you grow, it will increase. So how do you deal with that? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. We do not own any lawnmowers. So the folks that I'm thinking you're referring to have crews that go out every day, multiple crews with trailers and mowing. We don't do it. We do all construction on plants. Right now we're on a project building a large stone wall. We'll be there for 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we meet in the morning. Right now there's 3 full-time people. I believe in my application I said I expect 8 people because I hope to grow. So deliveries occur to the site. I expect to get a delivery of mulch or a delivery of crushed stone as needed. Might be 3 times a year, so almost non-existent, but enough that we want to highlight that we are expecting some deliveries. Most of our deliveries occur to the site. I don't want to carry 20 pallets of stone
To your work site.
to the work site, yes, sir. So I get most of everything delivered directly to where we're working. The number of trips in and out is going to be twice a day, ideally, and that's, I'm not sure if I missed one of your questions. but-
Well, no, no, that helps to clarify it. I'm looking for staff, and if staff are coming and going and leaving vehicles there, it sounds like some might, but some might also meet at the site. It seems like that varies perhaps. I'm looking more at the presence of what you and I think would conclude are real commercial vehicles. 10-wheelers, 18-wheelers, significant tractors, pulling tractors. There are many smaller commercial companies who engage in your business at a smaller scale, I
Right.
think. And those exist, and they have dynamics to deal with. But where this is on, that's a section of Route 1, as you probably know, where people are coming out of Ipswich, and at that point they're interested in getting to Market Basket or getting through Rowley, and they're moving along.
Right.
So I'm,
It's 50 miles per hour.
one of our
They're
concerns
going downhill.
is just, how much, how often is traffic going to be there that would be inclined to have me coming up over that rise before your site and realize that there's somebody big trying to get in there who's having to slow down.
Okay.
And because now with the ice cream store, while that little retail strip mall is not fully rented right now, I'm sure they hope to get some more tenants in there. There's an opportunity for now new commercial activity, so that's what we're trying to do.
Sure. We designed this exit to mitigate the concern with coming down the hill, because right now, before I bought the site, I came out of that driveway and I said, wow, I don't want to be coming out at this pitch. I mean, it's quote unquote paved, But, I mean, I think we could stand in some of the holes in the driveway and no one from Route 1 can see us.
Yeah.
So we've said, let's go to the state to get the second curb cut, because when I was there and I'm watching the traffic, as people hit the bottom of the hill, they start to slow down. So I said, okay, now if we pull out over here, that's gonna be much safer for everyone.
Right.
So I met with the state folks twice. They've sent emails, and I talked to them today saying they've approved it, the second cut. It's been out for the signatures that we need, that we can show you, yes, we have a permit to put the second cut in. He's like, it's been 2 days, I've put it out for the signatures. I'm expecting it within the next week. Once they're here, they're signing it, we're done reviewing it, but we don't have the physical paper that I can tell you the state's looked at it, because we met with the engineering and the traffic departments, and they both said being across from the ice cream spot in that strip mall was the ideal location for the exit and where the entrance was. That I think we're at 82 feet, which is close to the 100 feet of having the driveways apart. The state wants 50 feet between the ends. So we've surpassed that to try to mitigate all the traffic concerns from Route 1.
They do look at the sight distance that's required to make the maneuver. When you're exiting, to either turn left or turn right. And then when you're entering, obviously, slow down. There's, I believe it's, I don't recall the number, it's about 850 feet of sight distance to the south, coming down, traveling north on Route 1. And that's sufficient for the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, including an adjustment factor for the slope. They adjust the stopping sight distance that's required as you're going downhill, because obviously it takes longer to stop as you're going downhill. So they adjust it, and obviously going uphill, they reduce it because you slow down fast. So those have been looked at by the state as well as us, our engineering staff. We have indicated that this locations for the entrance and the exit are considered safe.
We also
for that
made
purpose.
one other adjustment where we have a 30-foot radius now when you turning right into the property or out of the property. So that was based on a recommendation by the state, saying, we feel you will find it more comfortable doing 30 feet. There's no one that'll have to stop getting off the Route 1 to get into your property, then you can swing right in and then stop off the highway. So we've made that adjustment.
I'm surprised they haven't reduced the speed limit into that section to begin with. It's 50 almost right up to, switch to 45 almost from where McDonald's is.
Right.
Northbound lane. Surprised it's not 35 from the intersection where the light is all the way up to where the hardware store used to be, that section.
Could
Says
you
it's been
tell
developed
us
quite a bit.
more about your business? I mean, I realize you've got a huge building there, you've got a mezzanine in there that's got a lot of office space, so I assume these are gonna be designers?
I'm hoping.
You're hoping. Okay, and what are you gonna be storing in the building?
Landscape supplies, meaning irrigation. We do a lot of lighting, so boxes of landscape lights and our saw, the tools that we need to do our work. Because I want to be able to leave the tools on the truck and keep the trucks inside. So
Okay.
that way they will be minimized in any theft.
How many trucks do you anticipate? This is, I agree with Don. I'm curious. I can see even for small staff wanting multiple offices for any number of administrative purposes. But you do have a lot of open storage, and you got 30 feet of height,
Yeah.
sloping down to 20 feet. So we got a 3-story building, which is essentially open, sloping down to a 2-story building.
Okay.
So either you have some high vehicles, and a fair number of them, or is there going to be, is there going to be like, Home Depot shelving that goes up 15 or 20 feet where you got lighting and stuff stored? Looks like a lot of stuff, and the fire chief seemed to express an interest. And he may have talked with you about this, about what's going in there, because it's a good sized space.
Correct. I've talked to him. He issued a letter to the town today saying he was all set. There was no fire suppression system needed.
Yeah.
We went through all the materials that I have in there, quantities. He asked specific weights of some items. I called the vendor while I was with him.
Mhm.
We got all the answers, and he said, okay, what you're storing in there is relatively not a concern to us.
Yeah.
Obviously, anything stored inside is a concern, but in the overall scheme of things, it's not what he would consider a high risk. And he said, no fire suppression system needed, and you're good to go. We'll just put a fire alarm in. So,
There's not storing any chemicals
no,
or fertilizers or anything like that?
we don't have any pesticide licenses, which doesn't mean we couldn't do it, but we don't use pesticides or any of that stuff because I don't want to, and I don't want to get a pesticides license to do that on a daily basis. We're doing more stonework, lighting, and plantings. So,
Is this gonna be a relocation business for you or a new, totally new?
my
additional
business,
one?
I opened it in 2004
Okay.
Are you in town somewhere now?
in Georgetown.
Georgetown? Oh, that's right. Are you using the pavers on these 6 spaces just, for drainage issues as opposed to the other 5? or-
They're for, well, Tony can play it, for showcase, basically. He's gonna use
Oh, this is
his
what we
site.
do?
Yes.
He does this also, so he's trying to.
So
These
some
showcase.
of your product is actually on your site, so that when I go there. That brings up a question, how much retail trade? I mean, am I gonna be invited to come to your offices and look at your plans, or do you go to my site?
In 9 years, nobody's asked to go to visit me or to go to someone else's house to see what they've done. I go to your house, I have the pictures, I'll do a demonstration. If it's lighting, I'll do a demonstration. If it's plants, I'll have all these pictures and a presentation so you can see everything. We'll draw it out, walk through the drawn out diagrams. So to date, no one's ever said, oh, I want to go to your office. If we have an office and someone says, I want to look at it at your office at 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever, on my way to work, I can be there, but I would think that it might be 2 people a year, and I don't know who those 2 might be, but
Is your current facility anything like this?
no, it's my house.
Okay, so it's not inconceivable that, once you put a Coke machine in that you didn't have, people might be interested in having Coca-Cola. And that doesn't exist now.
Correct.
So it's not inconceivable that as you grow, your client base may expand, and there may, because it looks like you have designed in the capability for a conference room in addition to offices. I suspect that isn't for parties.
No, just
Okay, I'm just,
Yep.
when you have 5 trucks, you can do more than when you have 1.
right.
So I anticipate that would be perhaps part of the growth. And that's what we're just trying to understand. Bob, you have any questions?
Any questions? We've got to go over them. We do have some letters here that I probably should read into the record.
What's your time frame? Curious.
I'm hoping that we have a meeting with conservation on October. We have a walkthrough next Wednesday at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, I think, with a planning board.
Right. And then we have a meeting on the 1st, I think it is, with the planning board, and the expectation, or the 2nd, October 2nd, I think it is.
Second, I think.
Is that before October 2nd, we will work with the town engineer, Larry Graham, and answer all of his questions. And there's, might be a half dozen questions that are open, and finalize those and hopefully have sign off then, wait the appeal process. My goal would be to have the foundation put in before winter so that we can build the structure before the snow falls.
Yeah.
And then over winter, myself and my 2 guys, we can work inside and start to try to figure out how to use this space.
Yeah, right.
So my goal would not be to work on the inside of this come April and May.
Right.
So I hope to be working.
If I might, I have a question or comment. Having just completed that ethics business, many years ago, I represented one of the abutters here. When I was with a former firm in Boston, Dick Ullman, who's across the street, was a client of ours, but that's long ago, far away, and I don't see personally a problem, but I'd rather at least state it, that I don't see a problem, but if somebody else does, at least that's out there. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, you're asking for a variance regarding the sign. And I think if you look at chapter 40A, the variance section, it says when you want a variance, it's got to be due to certain things. And you might want to think about addressing. No, they're asking for a variance on the sign.
I know they are, but
In other words, to get a variance, it has to be due to the size or shape of the building or the land.
And the name Artistic Landscapes, for us to make it to 10 square feet, no one could read it. I mean, the font would be too small.
No, I understand that,
Yes.
but the statute says it has to be due to the size or shape of either the lot or the building. And I'm not looking to be problematic, I'm just saying you might want to try to kind of build your reasoning into that language of the statute somehow, so you can say, well, here's.
also,
It's a good point, it's a good point you brings up. I'm curious to know why you were asking for a variance rather than just a special permit.
This is what the town folks told us to do. When we met with Ken Ward and Brent and Katrina, they said, no, you need a variance for this.
no way.
So that's,
Should it be a special permit? Is that what you-
Special permit. A variance is extremely hard to grant, and they don't recommend that we do it very often. It takes the answers to questions that have to be in the positive,
yep.
and it's very difficult. We don't like to we don't like to work on variances. We can and we have, but
It would be easier to grant a special permit.
oh yeah.
And I think Bob's point about the lot is valid, but knowing that lot, to some degree, I mean, I'm interested in the site visit because I want to get a real feeling for how far back that building is and how down it is actually. Because I can imagine that despite the height from the street, you may only see maybe 10 or 15 feet of it.
Correct.
So, and if you're lettering, how big are the letters as
2 feet,
how big?
24 inches.
Yeah, 24, I can't see that to the end of this, building here. So I'm less concerned about the issue of the signage. We've granted sign down at Forest Ridge, that both of those sites had signage because they're way back off the road, a bit different than this, but they
We
both
do have a sign bylaw to go by too,
Yeah, no, we do, but I have a feeling,
which we make changes to.
yes, at least we're thinking about making changes to it as well too, but,
When you spoke of variances, people talk in terms of variances when it's really special permits. They talk, everybody calls it a variance. And if they actually look at what the law says, they wouldn't.
Okay.
So that's a matter of, that's a matter of perhaps you being advised to take a direction that is not necessarily the right direction, it's just a direction. It's not an uncommon misunderstanding between boards.
Just in case you're driving on Route 1 and you look into this lot, you'll see the building staked out. You'll see it next Wednesday anyways, but.
Yeah. No, well, I happened to partake of the ice cream store, and my dog's vet is in the brick building up in the back, so I'm there more than probably other people that might not otherwise be there. So I've sat there and I looked, when you first came to the planning board last, now it's in September, maybe in the spring, I think, you came to Katrina and she mentioned the property. And I've been in that site probably half a dozen times at least since then. And I just sit there and I look at it and I go, my God. It's a very odd shaped property. And it's, you know, it's like, I can't believe there's that much I don't know how you're gonna put a 4,500 square foot building on there. That's what I'm gonna be curious to see. Because that house is literally, you stand on Route 1 and you can touch it.
Right.
You can physically touch the house. It's amazing.
Yeah, and the house is actually is right here.
Yeah.
Now it's part of the lot, actually. And then
Right.
they put it right up to the front.
Well, yeah, but you've torn it down.
It's not put down
We
yet,
have
it's
a
still
permit,
there.
we have a permit to tear it down.
Tear it down.
Yeah.
But no, it's still there. Yeah.
So, I'm just to be perfectly clear, are you suggesting that we ask for a special permit for all of the items or just for the sign? I mean, I would think that the shape of the lot would justify potentially the setback requirements for the parking and for the bins, the storage area. And then we have I think the actual, the impervious area is under the special permit category. It's under the variance category.
Then you're asking for a variance, the requirements of section 6.1.3.2.4 B, Morale to protect the zoning bylaw. You're asking for a special permit under 472 and 411.3-2.
Yeah, I think the variance is for the setback. I think the special permit was for the impervious area under the watershed protection district bylaw.
Lisa gave us the pertinent bylaws here. It's in the packet.
Okay, they're in here.
They're in our, yeah, just look further back. Yeah, you're right, the imperviousness is a special. I don't know, we might be able to do the parking under a special permit. I think we've done that before, haven't we?
It might come under the special permit for the watershed protection district as well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So what's the variance went for this now?
You had the variance under the,
I think it's setback.
yeah. You had a variance for the parking. I think we can do that. Oh, no, wait a minute.
for variance for the parking space. Setback. We're asking for variance on the setback for the parking.
Correct.
That's what you're asking.
I know when Larry Graham reviewed it for the planning board, he reviewed it for the setbacks as well, and his comments was he had no objection to a variance to be granted for that parking in that location because of the shape of the lot. He also stated that other properties in the area have parking in the front setback, so it's consistent with the general neighborhood as well. I mean, granted, they're probably all older buildings that were done prior to the requirement.
All right, as I said before, we do have a letter here from the fire department, which we really should be, so that it goes into the record. September 5th, 2003, Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Raleigh, 39 Center Street, Raleigh, Mass. Site plan and application, 111 Newport Turnpike, Artistic Landscapes LLC, map 14, lot 17. Members of the board, the fire department received the original submission from the planning board, commented on it on August 6, 2013. Since that time, I've had a very brief conversation with the developer as it pertains to the entrance of certain parking area. I informed them that my concern of the surface of the lot is not what it is made of, but whether it could withstand the weight of the fire apparatus in excess of 44,000 pounds. I was also concerned with the ability to maneuver the apparatus in the pipeline like the lot. As this date, I have not had any information from my applicant concerns. I have included a copy of my comments in the planning board for your review. This submission has given additional information as to the layout of the building. It would be 2 stories in height. Due to the fact that there is separate floor mezzanine proposed, this has increased my need for requested information to determine fire suppression and protection requirements. I'm not comment further on this project until further information is given. And then he submitted the letter that was sent to the planning board. We have a letter from the Board of Health. The application for 111 Newport Turnpike has been reviewed. Soil testing for the septic system has been completed, but no septic system design has been received for review. The septic area may not be used for storage or structures. Health department does not have any issues with proposed use of the site as outlined in the application. Please contact the Board of Health with any questions. And then we have a letter here from dated September 10th, 2013, from Brent Baszler, Conservation Agent. These are emails, right?
Yes.
There's more than one. Oh.
Most of those issues have been dealt with in the conservation. I already had one hearing with the Conservation Commission, and we addressed a lot of the issues that we brought up to the planning board. And we're going back on the October 1st to finalize the issues that were brought up at the last meeting as well. So most of those, we're aware of them. They deal with the stormwater management, I believe, for the most part.
I'm not going to spend the time to read these. We have them, just make note that we have these letters. They are,
Both letters have got the same date
yes, because they're 2 different letters.
from the Concom.
Concom. Okay. So we have those in the record.
we can just note
Note that
that we have them and that final resolution needs to be supplied to us, that's all. Because they don't have direct bearing on the zoning elements of the case.
Okay, then we have a memorandum to the zoning board from the Board of Selectmen regarding the application. Board of Selectmen reviewed the application for 111 Newburyport Turnpike during the September 9, 2013 meeting. Board of Selectmen does not have any questions or comments on this application. So clear it that way. Okay, I got a letter here from Fire Department on dated 17th of September. And it is addressed to the zoning board of appeals. I have spoken, and I have spoken to Anthony Early of Artistic Landscapes pertaining to this application in front of the board pertaining to 111 Newburyport Turnpike. In regards to the fire department, he has given me enough information to determine that there will be fire alarm system required, as well as a Knox box for key security. We also discussed my question pertaining to access, also to the size of building and what will be housed in it. There's no requirements for fire suppression system. Weight requirements for the parking area were also discussed, and he agreed that the surface will be able to withstand the weight of fire apparatus in excess of 44 TPW.
44,000.
44,000, sorry. And we also discussed that if there are any changes to construction plans, they must be sent to me to see if there's any changes needed to the fire protection plan. Once the building plans are finalized, Mr. Early will bring them to me for approval of the fire alarm system. Any question pertaining to this site, contact me. Okay.
That's it.
That's it. When is the planning board going to the site?
To the site, Wednesday.
October 2nd. No, the next one, is next week?
September 25th.
5th or 6th, I think.
6th.
I think it's the 6th.
That'd be Thursday.
Wednesday, September 25th.
Okay.
At 5 o'clock.
Next Wednesday. That's a joint. First and two.
Doctor's appointment at 2:30.
Is it local? Local.
I would suggest that we piggyback with the planning board and make a site visit. And continue this to,
I'm sorry?
continue this to next month.
Yeah, I think, so that you understand a little bit about our process. We can't really take any action on it this evening because we don't have all the information we might otherwise have. And we're interested in letting some of the other matters that are going to be weighed out by the planning board basically allow themselves to work through. We would normally, in a case like this, continue to our next hearing, which would be October 17, I guess. By then, I think a lot of these things will have occurred. I don't know, but I don't see any issues right now that are really in the way of the zoning board, moving in an affirmative manner for you. that's for the board to decide upon all review. But normally, we would continue a hearing, review everything at our October hearing, decide upon an action, if it's to act affirmatively on the application, we'll draft a decision that would be available at the following meeting, which would be November. That would be our time process normally. Now, if you really felt, you know, if you do work affirmatively in October, as soon as you could prepare a decision, because we recognize there's also a 20-day appeal period, but I don't imagine there'll be appeal if there's no one expressing concern at this point in the process. I mean, we might be in a position to help you out and do something so it's not a full 30 days. It would be helpful for you to have, you know, our decision, but if you needed a confirmation from the board, the chairman, we could draft an article, a memo signed by the chairman indicating that we voted to approve. The decision is simply pending being written, and if you needed that for a lender or for anybody else, or for the building inspector, we've done that as well.
Okay.
Where he would say, okay, it's been approved, they told me it's approved, that's fine. And then as soon as we actually have the decision, whether it's 2 weeks later at the next hearing, he gets the decision, as well as you.
And then the 20-day window, when's that start? I'm just trying to make sure we get in before
When we
winter.
file with the
Yeah.
When we file it with the town clerk.
Right. Typically, if, you know, were we to make a decision tonight hypothetically,
Right.
It would be filed probably on Monday,
Okay.
okay? So the 20-day window would start at that point in time. Now, it's, you know, candidly, we always advise an applicant, you know, anything you do in that window on the site could technically be recalled
Right.
if there's an appeal. But if you are in a position to use that time constructively to get ready to work, obviously that's to your advantage, I would suspect. You've probably already done that. Do you have anything else? You know.
No. I just want to be able to walk the site and get a better visual.
Yeah, I think we need to. That'll be helpful.
I think-
That'll be helpful.
So
How much of the staking is on the site? Is the building staked?
The building
Corner?
is staked, yes.
And the
Okay.
entrance and the exit.
Entrance and the exit?
This is a wall on the whole back side. There is a drill hole here which I can mark up, which is near the corners, but I can mark
We
the
have,
corner.
we have the corner marked.
Boy, it goes way back, doesn't it?
Yeah. I recommend no shorts, no short sleeves.
Yeah.
There's poison ivy everywhere.
Will you be able to give us a, you know, could you get a stake on that front, those, you know, corner to corner on the front 6 parking spaces? I'd like to get a
sure.
feeling for their
Sure.
proximity to the street.
Do that.
If I can see the building, that's fine, but I really want to see how much closer.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. There actually is the wall here, and we have some control that we can put the two points in front.
Yeah, just something so we could see, this would be the front points, that's all.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Wednesday at 5.
Wednesday,
planning
put it
board
on the site, I
closed.
guess the planning board will be there, we'll be there as many as.
Actually, I think we're parking
At Swenson's,
Swenson.
at the Swenson's,
Oh, did you make that arrangement?
I'm going to
Try.
tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, I'm
It's-
in there
it's-
on a regular basis, so.
there's
that's-
not enough room for everybody to park.
They close at 4:30.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna park across the street.
Or across the street.
Not everyone wants to cross Route 1.
You're
so
daring.
We offered that up.
Yeah, right.
Cross that road.
Was either cross 25 feet or walk up 50 feet. So, that's fine. I don't have any questions.
When is the meeting?
Next Wednesday, 5 o'clock. And I understand it's a rain or shine event.
It's what?
A rain or shine event, rain or shine.
Bring your cool lunch.
So, right, if it's raining, show up at a house.
Okay, all
All
right.
right, well, if there's nothing else, I move that we continue the hearing to October 7th.
Second.
That as many of us as can attend the joint site visit on Wednesday, the 25th.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
You voted.
All in favor of continuing this till next month and attending the
Joint site visit.
site visit? I hear a motion to that effect?
He made it.
Okay, we hear a second.
Seconded.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you for the detail.
Sure.
It's nice to have good details.
Mr. DeCoulis.
We go home now, right?
You sure?
We go home now, right?
John, how are you?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Continue public hearing. Tompkins Discharge Trust, Marion Way, 40B application. Okay, what have I got here? This. Plans that we have from you are your final plans.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to send those, a copy of those to the planning board, the conservation committee, fire department, police department, water department.
So you want me to send you extra copies?
No,
No, I think
we're all set. Okay. We also going to ask, we have to have your plans final review, right? From an outside source, right?
By the Conservation Commission, you mean?
No. No.
Good. Traffic.
The final review of your plan. Okay? You had mentioned before that you wanted to go with Graham. Way back. when.
Way back, right.
Way back when.
Okay, the Conservation Commission has sent out a proposal, request for proposals for technical review, and they got 2 proposals back, and it looks like we're gonna go with Horsley and Witten in Newburyport, so I would recommend that you probably go with them.
Well, I think the proposal we want to point out to you is this, John, that as you know, the planning board submitted that most recent set of plans essentially to Larry Graham and Associates on their own behalf.
Right.
They did that under their own call.
Right.
And they submitted his review of the plan.
Right, and I gave you our responses, yeah?
Yes, and we had all that information. And you supplied us as much information as you get, including the current purchase agreement that
Right.
was drafted on the property. What we would like to do, though, is utilize the funds that you currently have in there to have Larry Graham actually go through the review of the traffic study that was submitted and a final review of the complete complete plan package as it exists now. Perhaps pending information regarding the Storm Conservation Commission's review of those matters.
Yeah,
But-
that's what I mean. Why introduce a new third party into, another party into it where, I mean, why not just have Horsley and Witten continue reviewing it?
Well, Horsley and Witten is, that to me is a new party. Because
It's
we've
new.
never heard, is that right? Do you agree?
Yeah, we never heard of that.
That's someone who, other than this Conservation Commission review, has never existed on the table.
They are reviewing it for the conservation
Stormwater.
stormwater.
But they're a highly respected engineering outfit.
No.
I have a summary of their services and the communities they've served, which I'd be glad to send to you.
If you're not disposed to accept our predisposition to use Larry Graham, we can accept that. But as a component of the reaction, our process would involve going out to bid, and we would be happy, I think, under those conditions, to submit a request to this group and have them participate in that process. But we'd have to go through, if we can't agree on who we want to do it, we'll put it out to bid.
Okay.
And they would be one of the groups we'd invite. We
Okay.
can't guarantee that they would be the group that would be selected.
Well, wouldn't the lower price be an incentive?
Well, as you recall, when we originally put the plan out to bid, price was a variable, but it was also the amount of information that we were provided about what was going to be done that was more critical than pure cost, while there was a difference. And Larry Graham, we have approached Larry Graham on the subject, and he has provided us with a quote which is reasonable based on what's been done before and where he's seen it. We don't judge as an exorbitant fee, and I don't think it would involve any more funds in a prison than we have right now.
You
So
remember
it
what
wouldn't
you-
be extra funds.
Do you remember what his bid was?
Yeah, his bid was,
He told me $4,000 to $5,000.
I'm sorry?
$4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, I think Horsley and Witten are in the $3,400 range. And then it isn't, they're not just doing stormwater report, they're reviewing the whole package, which I think you'll see when we get it from the Conservation Commission. The stormwater is the primary thing, but they're also reviewing all the other aspects of it also.
I would think we would need to feel comfortable that the criteria that they were using to evaluate that plan would meet the kind of criteria that we would want them to go.
Oh, yeah,
look at.
yeah.
And it might be suitable, but they don't even know what our criteria would be. They would know what the Concom's criteria would be. And I think unnaturally, their proposal was based upon what Concom asked them
Well,
to
how
do.
about,
No, see, the problem is normally when somebody comes to this board, they come through the front door and we sit down and we talk about the problem and we discuss the problem and we come to a conclusion. Okay? You'll come in the back door with the conclusion and we're working backwards. And we've got all these other engineers that are doing this and so forth. If it had come to us to begin with,
well, I thought we did, that's why we hired Camet originally. I wanted to hire Graham originally, and I was incorrectly accused, is probably a strong word, that I had some kind of a relationship with Larry, which I don't, you know, I just know them over the years. And so we went with Camet. And the Conservation Commission sent out a bid to Camet and to this Horsley and Witten group, which is based in Portland. They have branch offices in Newburyport and one down in Sandwich, I believe. They have 3 or 4 offices in New England, and they came in with a price below Camet, and with a much more detailed analysis of what they're going to do.
Okay, well, my feeling is you may be right. But I would like to have Graham do this for us. Because we like the detail that he had came up with before. And it's my recommendation that we go with Graham. Now, if we can't agree to that, we'll have to put it up to bid.
Well, I'd like to put it out for bid if it's all right. And I'll send you the brochure that Horsley and Witten have sent, and you can judge for yourselves their qualifications. I've never done any business with them, but I was impressed with their response.
Maybe we can send a letter to the Concom and have them provide us with the information that they received from Horsley and Witten.
Sure, you can do
So we
that.
can see that. I'd rather have a paper trail that follows sort of and creates, at this point, at this juncture, John, as you know, we're trying to proceed through the final phases of
Right.
this, that there are a number of timelines associated with the whole process that we're all trying to remain sensitive to. This is not the only matter that, it goes out to bid, it means we have to be formal, there's more time. We can do that. But it immediately injects, 30 days or so.
Right.
If not more.
I didn't realize you were gonna send it out to bid again. This is, you're hitting me something now with something new.
Well,
Well, we don't want to, we'd rather go to Graham.
Well, I didn't realize you were gonna have anybody review it.
we want to at this point, because based upon the plan that you had given us, was it? The
2
fine-
years?
Yeah, the final plan that you gave us, which was 12, I think. And then there were some, additional minor adjustments to it, but still adjustments to it. In addition to the fact that we don't have the stormwater information. And there's some other matters that Don needs to address that are also time-related that we want to get your feedback on as to whether or not they can or cannot be provided, that we've been alerted to explore. So they're all time factors, and we're trying to do it efficiently. But without the right information, we don't want to just have stuff scattered around.
I thought Camet's review was pretty thorough. I've answered all their questions, and I've given you copies of our responses to his review and also to Graham's that he did for the planning board. It comes to, and that's why I say it comes to a surprise. It's a surprise that you want a further review, but we can do it if you insist.
Well, I think you knew that we were thinking about doing another review, and you had asked us to hold off until we got some resolution from Concom, because that always seemed to be a variable that was out there. John, candidly, you laid eyes on us, as you well know, the first time almost, 3+ years ago.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And we're only now getting some action on an element that is really critical to whether or not the development as planned can be built the way it's planned to be built. Because without the Concom signing off on it, ultimately, you're not going to put any road in there, let alone houses. So that's one element, Don. But there are other elements that I think are important that we also need to get from you, that we only had very sporadic information, those being.
Well, let me know what they are, and we'll do our best to provide them.
Okay, what are we gonna do about this?
We have to go out to bid. That's all we can do. I don't see what else we can do.
We'll agree to Graham.
Well, I think you ought to get a look at what Horsley and Witten might propose. And I think what you suggested is go to the Conservation Commission and see what the response they sent them. It's a very thorough response. I've never done any business with them, and like I said, I was pleasantly surprised.
I don't know that we're not going to do that with the Concom, but I'm not sure that we want to not concurrently have some resolution on, as Don says, you know, we want to get a final comprehensive review of all of the data as it exists now.
Right.
Because we want to take an action and
Right.
draft a decision that addresses all of the variables in the project. Which is why we asked for the pro forma, which you brought by, in an updated sense. So I think we should go, we can still get something from Concom. But if Don is right, if you're not going to concur with hiring Larry Graham without going out to bid, then we don't have any choice. We'll invite them to, but we'll have to go out to 3. So we'll have to invite, you know, we'll put out to as many people as we want.
Well, you can go back to what the Concom did. They sent Camet and Horsley and Witten a request for proposal.
Did Camet respond?
Camet responded. But like I said, I thought Horsley and Witten were head and shoulders above Camet.
Again, partially, to me, it seems it's a little bit like having a house that you're building and saying, I've had my electrician go through it, yeah, but the plumber didn't go through it, so I don't know if I can build it.
That's the way.
You know, but the electrician says, beautiful, go for it. You know, you put electricians and plumbers in the same building and all of a sudden lines start crossing. So we're trying to avoid that.
That's.
And you know, speaking about the back door, coming in the back door, Graham was hired by the planning board as a second technical review agent.
Yes, he was.
Which, all the years I've been in business, it's unheard of having two technical review people looking at one plan. But the planning board decided to do that on their own, with their own funds.
That's right.
And I
That's
was
exactly-
flabbergasted when they did that.
We were pleasantly surprised, but they did it under their own volition.
Like you might have been surprised. Like I said, I was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Well, that's their prerogative.
I know.
But that's
And the other thing about Graham is that I think he comes in with a bias because he's worked for the planning board.
I don't know. I don't know about the presence of a bias or not. You might be right. I don't know.
Well, in a sense, Graham is, it's not written, but he's the one the planning board uses all the time, primarily.
Yeah, and I've worked with him, and I respect his work.
So he knows the town, he knows.
Right?
Right, so that's why I wanna go with Graham. I don't wanna fool with somebody else that I don't know anything about. I wanna get this done.
Well, we do too, Don. So much faster than even you might think.
So let's, why don't we go with Graham and let him do the final review? Because he's reviewing the plan for us. Conservation, they're doing a plan for the Conservation Commission. They're not doing a plan for us.
Well, won't Larry want to see a stormwater report?
I would think he will,
Yeah,
frankly.
Yeah, probably.
see?
Oh, it's-
So he's gonna be doing extra work that Horsley and Witten have already done.
Well, if he's presented with a report that he can conclude and evaluate is.
Yeah, but he's gotta review it and spend time reviewing it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I still think we ought to get you ought to send it out to bid then. As much as I don't like delaying it, but I just don't feel right about Graham working on it, where he was hired by the planning board originally, and I think given strict orders. by the planning board.
I don't know, you know, we got a document from him that you've seen, that outlined, you know, their perception of what the plan was at that point in time. And it was, we were impressed by the scope and the detail, that it pointed out that was different from the kind of scope and detail that we had received from Camet. The Camet report was thorough, but it spoke in a lot of technical terms. And the Graham report was much more descriptive in layman terms.
I mean, it's gonna be a big duplication of effort. He's gonna have to go through the site distances that's been already decided. And I think you people have agreed. I just think it's an awful duplication of effort.
We haven't agreed to anything yet.
I'm sorry, Don?
We haven't agreed to anything yet.
No, I know, yeah, right, but you know, of course, you're leaning that way.
All right, Lisa. I'll put it up there. So send a bid to Mr. Graham. And what's the name of the other company?
Horsley and Witten, I can call Lisa, or give the bid, or she can get it from the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, okay. She'll get it from Brent.
Get a stick on the third one.
Okay,
And it'd be well worthwhile to get a copy of what they submitted to the Conservation Commission. I think you'll be impressed.
Oh, we'll get that. We'll get that.
What about the third one?
send it to Emmett also.
Yeah. I would say we need 3.
How many of those?
Why, you know, may I ask why you need 3?
State law,
Any of these?
state law.
State law.
Conservation only needed 2. I think if it goes over a certain figure, you need 3.
Well, no, that's, if it's, right, frankly, if it's under, I mean, that's another variable. If it's under 5, I think, it may not even need that.
Right.
So-
I think that's the magic number.
All right.
Well, let's get 3. Is there any law against I getting 3?
No? You
Fine.
get 5?
Oh. It's just that you were fighting us over getting 3, we didn't need 3. Which makes me wonder why.
All right.
Okay. You've got a list of outfits. Okay. We need from you, John, architectural plans.
Don't you have the architect, they're in one of the reports?
Are they? We,
Oh,
architect and floor plans?
right,
They are.
right.
The latest ones, that is.
Latest ones, yeah.
Did it come in with the last set of plans you gave us, John? Do you recall? Because I don't remember, I don't frankly remember seeing it. It doesn't mean we didn't get it, because you've given us lots of information. But I don't ever remember it being a conversation point. You know, when Mr. Frangos was here on that one visit, he actually displayed some photographs of similar properties.
Which he was asked to bring in.
Yes, yes, and that's my only image of architectural plans.
Oh, no.
And it's not a plan.
Well, okay,
So
I mean, if you have them,
Oh, I have them.
oh, good.
Yeah,
Then that's all we need you to do is make sure we get them.
okay.
Okay. Okay, so we want architectural plans,
Right?
want floor plans,
Although those will be in the architectural.
That's
plans.
fine.
and landscaping plans.
Landscaping, yeah.
Did you think you did those two? I don't think we ever talked about any of that. Landscaping, did we?
We have briefly talked about it.
All right. Give us what you got.
Okay, and you gave us, you already, and you did send us a copy of your pro forma.
Right? Yeah, we used three different scenarios, the existing 20,
Yeah.
then we looked at 18, then we looked at 16.
Yeah.
And even the 20, it's on the ragged edge of profitability at 16%, a little less than 16%.
All right, well, we need to look at those numbers.
Do these plans include what you got? Are you actually going to do something across the road and take out part of that area that is town property to use to widen that road? You talked to us about it and how it would be
at
the
the
thing to
curve.
do.
Yeah.
At the
Yes,
curve.
yes, yeah.
I think you
right.
said that, right?
Right, yeah, we're gonna reduce that bank up to the street line.
Yeah.
And if necessary, which I think it will be, construct a stone wall to retain the bank of
Yeah.
Willard
To
Maples.
hold it there.
Okay, we've got the plans on that?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, it's on this topographic.
Okay.
What about this?
But there's one more one.
Oh, yeah.
This is it. This is the topographic.
One of the things that Edie brought up, you met Edie.
oh, yes, right, right.
Okay. One of the things that she brought up was that none of the plans have a professional engineer's stamp on them.
Normally during hearings, I don't put stamps on plans, I just do them on the final plans. If you want my stamps on them, I'll gladly put them on. Any future submissions.
Okay. No, we'll need that. That's fine.
I mean, you're never gonna get it into the registry without a stamp, that's for sure.
Right.
But if you want future plans with stamps, I'll gladly do it.
And also, planning board has a block where they all sign,
Right,
well, we do too,
right.
so you gotta provide that on the
I
plan.
think it's on there, isn't it?
Isn't
It
this
is
one?
on this
Oh,
one.
yeah, oh, it's right there, it's right there. Okay. Got it, okay. Okay, John has sent this letter along. It says, "Dear zoning board members, enclosed please find the following. Construction budget for Marion Way for 20 units, 18 units, and 16 units. The cost items have been based on our recent experience with the design and construction of Beverly Lane, adjacent to Carriage Pine Golf Course, formerly Raleigh Country Club. Mass housing allows a maximum profit of 20% on 40B copier units. Please note that the 20-unit profit is 15.7%, the 18-unit profit is 12.2%, the 16-unit profit is only 11.5%. You have asked us many times to reduce the number of units, but after a careful and thoughtful analysis, we have concluded that reducing the number of units from the proposed 20 units is uneconomical. We have filed stormwater report with the Conservation Commission and received technical review proposals. We had hoped to finish the stormwater prevention. Pollution plan and the operation and maintenance plan that is required this week. Bruce Tompkins owns the Marion property, has had us working on a serious problem with his wife's family land in Plymouth. We now plan to finish the above plans to the Conservation Commission next week for technical review. Massachusetts Supreme Court Judicial Court recently decided on two 40B cases within 6 days of each other on January 8, 2013, 14, and 2013. After many appeals by the respective zoning boards, it decided that the state is in dire need of affordable housing. Reference citation 464, Mass. 16613, and citation 464, Mass. 38. John Toulis. And he's given us his new form, which shows three different pages. 20 units, 18 units, and 16 units. Okay. So we have that. Shows okay. We need anything else?
No, that's all we need to get addressed.
There's one thing, John, that bothers me about this whole project is you're cramming 20 families into a small area, and you're gonna use this road to access the backland. And these kids that are gonna be living in these houses have no place to play. And they're gonna be playing in the street. And that bothers me. This is a safety issue. We've provided no open space for anything. And that's why I've, been pushing you, reduce it. And you haven't,
Well,
and you're gonna, even with at 11%, you're gonna make $600,000
if you make it. Of course, all these,
profit, but you've got a road. You've got a road. Plus $600,000 profit.
if you make it. I wish we could, it's just that this particular area doesn't lend itself to any type of a playground. Now, as you well know, Bruce Tompkins owns close to 150 acres in the back, and I can guarantee you that if we ever get there, there'd be room for one, even two playgrounds.
Would be, but these kids up here wouldn't get to
Well, it
use.
won't be for these kids.
No,
That's a whole different project, whole different thing.
Well, it'll be on the same road.
yeah,
No,
Why not?
no.
Be a continuation of that street.
yeah, but it would be on the continuation, not on that,
No,
Area.
well, I know.
which means the kids have gotta go somewhere else to play.
Well, we've done the best we could with cleaning up the backyards for play areas. some of the areas in the back are as much as 5,000 square feet, which is a good-sized play area.
You got 10, you got. Okay, you'll get us those architectural
Yep.
plans.
Landscaping, and I'll stamp all plans.
Okay, and we will see you next month.
Okay?
And we will send out a bid on the other thing.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. He says, he sent an statement there that Tompkins owns the property. Have we seen a paperwork that we were supposed to get when he first
Yes,
started?
yes, we got,
We received the
we
purchase
have a, what they claim is a purchase and sale agreement. I don't know that's what it is. It's an agreement.
Well,
It's not a legal document.
why isn't that a legal document? The purchase and sales agreement.
It's just an agreement.
Well, an agreement is a contract. Any agreement that's signed by two parties, I believe, is a contract with, I don't see how either one can get out of it without a lawsuit.
Lisa, do we have do you have a copy of that, you know? Can you make sure Bob has a copy of that so that he could read it for us and get his opinion on
Who owns the
it? Mr.
property
Cruel
right
is,
now?
Mr. Cruel is.
Bruce
an attorney.
Tompkins,
He does?
the Tompkins and Desjardins Trust. Bruce Tompkins is the trustee.
Is he the
Fine.
sole trustee?
Have we got any piece of paper from you that shows, official piece of paper that shows that he is the owner of the property?
Yes, sir, that was in the very first submission I sent. The very first report I sent in.
Wasn't? I don't think so.
I know
think
so.
you said you were going to
No,
supply it.
the reason I know is because I went through it a couple weeks ago, and I distinctly remember seeing that deed in there. And I'll bring, I have a copy of that report that's GBC bound, and I'll bring it in,
You do that.
and you can see it. No, I don't have that with me.
Is he the sole trustee of the trust?
His sister, Stephanie Desjardins, I can't really answer that. I believe he is, but I'm not sure. Does that matter?
Where does Marion come into this?
That was his late mother.
Yeah, yeah. She owns land, doesn't she?
No? Oh, wait. Bruce bought that land from Jimmy Kinnear. I don't know if you remember him. Lived on Daniels Road,
I know Jim Kinnear. I knew him, yeah.
right? And he owned that land, and Bruce bought it as trustee of the Tompkins Desjardins Trust. I think he may have bought it individually in the beginning and then transferred it to the trust. That's my best recollection of it.
There is some question about the trust makeup and, you know, as it relates ultimately to the ownership of the property. So we want to be absolutely sure that Bruce is either the sole trustee or has a controlling interest, and that there are no other trustees, alive or deceased, who also have an interest in that property that could prevent the sale from occurring.
Right. Boy. I'll make sure you get a copy of the deed also. But it,
If it's
believe me,
there, I'll go back and look.
believe me, it was in the original submission. I know it's there.
All right.
Lisa, I've covered it. I've covered it. Okay. Do I have a motion to continue this hearing to next month, on the 17th?
I move we continue the hearing, the Marion Way hearing until October 17th.
And we'll review the folks we will have.
Yes.
Bids. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, John.
All-
thank you.
Okay, you made the motion to continue this,
I'll second.
and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much.
See you on the 17th, John.
Yep.
Okay.
Yikes. Got anything else?
I don't have anything else. We're all done.
Want to adjourn?
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.